right, and welcome into the Betting Pros College Football Show. And today it's all about the brand. That's right, the team that continues to do its own thing as an FBS independent. The Notre Dame Fighting Irish goes under the microscope. Are they serious championship contenders to back or potentially the fade of the 2026 season? I'm your host, Seth Woolcock, back with Scott Bogman. And Boggs, love them or hate them, but there's no denying that Marcus Freeman's squad will certainly be a topic of conversation here this season.
Yeah, I mean, they're always one of the most popular teams in the land. We start with that game that our boy Fitz is going to against Wisconsin in Lambeau. That's going to be a very fun one. They have all of the juniors of every former NFL star, it seems like, on their squad. Like, how many of these juniors are at Notre Dame? My gosh, there's a ton of them. So, but yeah, it's going to be a fun year. Notre Dame's going to be in the middle of it, and they have a cakewalk schedule.
They absolutely do. And in today's episode, we will go ahead and break down Notre Dame's team outlook. And of course, we'll talk about the schedule breakdown and the win total path. And then we'll round it out with our playoff odds and future picks and predictions for you. A lot of fun stuff coming your way, not only in this episode, but on the Betting Pros College Football Show in general. So make sure you subscribe right here to the Betting Pros College Football YouTube channel. If you're new, make sure you give this video a thumbs up if you enjoy this type of program and that you are, whether you're a Notre Dame lover or hater. Dude, I meet Notre Dame fans from everywhere. I'm like, where are you from? Oh, I'm from Missouri. What team do you like? Notre Dame? I could ask someone from Alaska, Boggs, and their favorite team could be Notre Dame.
You can't forget, though, my generation was raised on the movie Rudy. So you're going to get a lot of Notre Dame fans just from Rudy, right? And a lot of Catholics, right? A lot of people love Touchdown Jesus, all that. So, lots and lots of Notre Dame backers. Not a surprise.
When I think also, you know, back when you were a kid, not to age you, but like Notre Dame was on TV all the time, right? Like they were one of the national games all the time. So I think that's where their fan base really, really does draw from. But either way, excited to break it down. Let's get into the business here in the Futures Factory. Last season, the Notre Dame Fighting Irish finished 10-2. They started 0-2. They lost Miami 27-24 in the opener, and then 41-40 in that thriller with Texas A&M. They won the next 10 straight games, Boggs, and their only game within 2 touchdowns being versus USC, where they won 34-24. They were 11th in the final CFP rankings, but they got jumped by the 2 G6 schools in the conference with the 2 conference championship wins that knocked them out of the CFP. This offseason, though, they had 6 players drafted, most notably, of course, those first-round running backs. Jeremiah Love, 3rd overall to the Cardinals, who finished 3rd in the Heisman voting, and Jadarian Price, 32 overall to the Seattle Seahawks. They also had 5 notable UDFAs, and they sit 8th in On3's transfer portal class rankings. Most notably, they brought in a couple of Ohio State wide receivers, Quincy Porter Jr. and Mylan Graham. They also brought in some defensive line help here. In defensive tackle in particularly, they got Tioni Gray from Oregon. They also got defensive tackle Francis Abreu, who's a projected starter from Pitt. Alabama edge Keon Keeley. And they brought in some secondary depth here. They got Colorado cornerback DJ McKinney, who is projected to start, in Michigan cornerback Caden Sanders. Recruiting also continued to be hot for Freeman and company here. They brought in 5-star edge, number 9 overall prospect in the 2026 class, Rodney Dunham, number 1 overall tight end recruit, Ian Premer. Also, 4-star running backs, Javian Osborne, 8th nationally at the running back position, and Jonas Walton, ranked 11th nationally as well. And then you mentioned him, 3-star wide receiver, Devin Fitzgerald, the 2nd NFL lineage on this team. They, of course, have Elijah Burra, son of Plexico. So you got Larry Fitz kid, you got Plexico's kid, and returning, of course, is unanimous All-American cornerback Leonard Moore, projected to be your CB1 in that 2027 class, and quarterback CJ Carr. He had 24-6 touchdown interception ratio as a first-year starter, completed over 66% of his passes for 2,700 plus yards. So, Boggs, in your mind, what weaknesses do you think Notre Dame has, if any, that when they play some of these big dogs could expose them? And more so, are the Irish actually a legit contender? a playoff caliber team or maybe an overhyped machine this season?
I think Notre Dame is perennially overhyped, but this season, I mean, they're first in the nation returning production on the defensive side of the ball, second in roster strength, and these unit ratings on defense are incredible. 6 on the defensive line, first at linebacker, second in the secondary. So the defense is strong and the schedule is weak. So I don't think Notre Dame is going to be really challenged that often, except for the 2 games at BYU and then at home against Miami. So if you're going to beat them, you're going to have to beat their offense, and they're replacing a lot. Obviously, that's a lot of production. Almost all the production at running back is gone, with both their running backs being drafted in the first round. So the wide receivers are going to have to step up. You only have 2 returning offensive linemen as well. Now it's Notre Dame. They're replacing 5 stars with 5 stars, 4 stars with 4 stars, so the squad is still going to be very, very good. But if you're going to beat Notre Dame, you have to keep it low scoring because their defense is going to beat you up. So I think you have to keep them from scoring, and it's going to take a special defense to do that.
One was one of those defenses that improved as the year went along, right? Didn't really have an answer from Marcel Reed and company. Craver was going deep on him. Casey Concepcion, Seeya later, right? So, and it's one of those teams that continue to get better, and you kept investing in them down the stretch, and you continued to build that bankroll. That was one team that I was heavily invested with early, and then kind of got gun shy and missed a lot of the good paydays.
They only had the 2 hard games first.
I know.
First, and then everything else was smooth sailing after that. So
I know.
We kept waiting for that Northern Illinois game, and it never came. So
it never did. We'll talk more about the schedule here for 2026 and the win total path. But first, if you want a chance to win a 1-year subscription of Betting Pros Premium on the house, this is your shot. All you have to do is subscribe to the brand new Betting Pros College Football YouTube channel right now. Drop a comment below on any of our videos, and that's it. We will be announcing a winner right here on the program, so make sure you ring the bell so you can be alerted when we have new shows up and to claim your prize if you are that lucky winner. And Boggs, let's go ahead and get into the Notre Dame schedule. Always a funny one with them not being tied to a particular conference, but certainly playing more ACC teams than any other conference. They'll open up the season, of course, against the Wisconsin Badgers in Green Bay at Lambeau Field. Our boy Pat Fitzmaurice will be front and center. Probably a couple cold boys in for that one. Then they'll go and face Rice at home. They'll also be home against Michigan State. They'll then travel to Purdue, and then at North Carolina, Bill Belichick and company versus Stanford. And then they get BYU in Provo on the road. Likely going to be a late night game. We shall see. And then they're versus Navy, versus Miami, versus Boston College, versus SMU, and at Syracuse to round things out there on November 28th. Boggs, the season win total right now as it stands on the books and prediction markets over 11.5 plus 160, under 11.5 minus 190. So they are projecting them to lose a game. I take it that's the Miami one?
Yeah, I mean, that's the only game that is less than a field goal that they're favored, and they're favored by 2.5 points in that game. That 9 of these games are favored by more than 2 touchdowns. So, it's BYU, it's Miami, and it's SMU. They're still favored by over 10, still double digits there. So, yeah, this is a weak schedule for Notre Dame. The win total being 11.5. I mean, you just can't play it. The juice to go under is not good enough, and I don't think I would take it anyway. And you have no margin for error to go over 11.5. So pass.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. Like, if that was a minus 120 ticket, a minus 115 ticket on the under 11.5, yeah, I'll take that they lose a game sometime in the regular season. But still, at the same time, I'm not laying minus 190 on that, and I'm not taking plus 160 for them to go over it. So for me, like, I think it will come down to that BYU game, and I think that's going to be a big part of their season because they haven't been tested by that point, right? BYU has already gone into the Wolves' den a couple times down there in the Big 12. So yeah, I think that will be a big one. I think that Miami game will also be huge. Like, it is just such a cakewalk of a schedule, though, that like I do worry. Like, you are legitimately playing. Like, I think Michigan State and Wisconsin will be like average Big Ten teams, but then you're literally playing like the bottom of the ACC, the bottom of the Big Ten, multiple times in a row with Stanford, NC, Purdue. You got Rice, a G16 thrown in there. Like, it's just not tough enough, man. And like where, we'll talk more about it in the next segment, but if they lose 2 of these games, Seeya, you're not making it, right? You have to pretty much go 11-1, and the only loss I think you can have and get in with is Miami.
Exactly what happened last year. The schedule's so weak, you don't get to lose your 2 hard games and still make the playoff. That's the deal, and that's why people don't like this Notre Dame stuff, right? It feels like it's shaded unfairly towards them. Mm-hmm. So I understand the gripes with Notre Dame, but I think you beat the schedule, you beat BYU, and you beat Miami. You are one of the top 12 teams in the country, regardless. So go 12-0 and make the playoff. You lose to BYU and Miami, you're out. If you lose to one of them, I think there's a question because the rest of the schedule is fairly weak.
Yeah, we'll tell you the bets we're locking in on Notre Dame, but if you're locking in any of them across the futures markets and you're using your notes app on your phone to track it, just stop doing that. Go to bettingpros.com/sync today or download the free Betting Pros app right now. You can link your betting apps securely in under 30 seconds, and our dashboard will automatically track all your Fighting Irish tickets, win totals, and futures in real time, completely for free. Keep your bankroll clean and organized this season at bettingpros.com/sync. Boggs, here we have the playoff and championship odds for the Fighting Irish to make the playoffs on the yes side, -567. Of course, some new rules implemented that, call them the Notre Dame rules if you want. They will certainly help them get there with, kind of removing one of the clauses to be a conference champion to get in. -567 on the yes side, +500 on the no side to win the championship, +669. We have some bets on it, but just in general, no value here as well, you think, to make, to miss, or to win the overall natty?
I mean, there's value on the natty and to miss. Those are very doable. How are we going to even know close to what we have with this team come playoff time, right? Like, especially if BYU is worse than we think, if Miami's worse than we think, then they played nobody going in. Now, if Miami is dominant and BYU is winning the Big 12 and they win both those games, we'll know more. So obviously the season will tell the story, but I don't like either one of those bets. I think they're making the playoffs, so I think a no bet is kind of flushing money. And I don't think they make the national championship. So I'm just stuck in between. I would rather take them to not make the playoff than to win the natty.
Okay, well, in that case, I've got something special for you. Give me my Seth's Seeya on October 17th parlay at +1231, leg one. Notre Dame to miss the playoffs, +490, and BYU to make the playoffs at +340. Boggs, everyone can go check out our playoff episode and our Big 12 title favorites episode and breakdown. And BYU's a team I really trust this season, man. Bogman, offensive player of the year from a freshman standpoint in the Big 12. They also have LJ Martin, who was the best offensive player in Big 12 as a whole last year. These are two guys that can control the ball with their running prowess. And that's the one thing at Notre Dame here, Boggs, I think that is a question mark, right? Like they do have the veteran coming back who was their third string last year. They have Walton. They have a couple of these young guns who everyone I know from a Devy standpoint is really excited about, an NFL draft standpoint. However, what happens if their run game isn't enough? They're going to really have to rely on CJ Carr and some of these transfer wide receivers. And I think they got some really good ones, especially the boys coming in from Ohio State. But I think like you could get tripped up in Provo if you can't run the ball by that point in the season, box, and they haven't been tested at that point with a good run defense either. So I could see BYU controlling that game with their tempo on the ground, big, long possessions that are taking time off the clock. Maybe they get a turnover. It's hostile out there. I know those Mormons, I know those BYU Cougar fans will be rowdy even on the 3.4 or 3.2%, whatever kind of low-cal beer they're drinking out there. They'll be ready to go just off the high of Provo, Utah on a Saturday night. So for me, I think if you like BYU to make the playoffs like I do, I think there's a good chance they're going to have to go through this Fighting Irish team to do it. So I'm going to parlay both these outcomes, plus 1231, just 0.3 of a unit for me. So a sprinkle of all sprinkles, but gonna fade the Irish once again here in 2026.
I love it. I look, if BYU wins that game, I think that Miami is going to stomp Notre Dame. So if BYU beats them, even though that's a tough, like you said, it's a tough road atmosphere to soak up if you're there, and I think that is going to be tricky for Notre Dame. But I think the defense is going to be too strong. I don't think LJ Martin and Bear Bogman are going to have a great day running the football against this Notre Dame front. Hope I'm wrong, but would love to see BYU win, and I'd love to see Notre Dame not make the playoff again. I think it's hilarious, but I think they win that game. So we'll see, which is why my one bet on this team is going to be, and it's just a little sprinkle, quarter of a unit here, plus 700 on CJ Carr to win the Heisman. Because I think if they do make the playoff, and then if they do go undefeated, I think if they go undefeated, he's going to New York, right? Maybe he doesn't win.
Good point.
But I think he goes, and you lose so much in the run game, like we mentioned, right? You lose Jeremiah Love, you lose Darian Price. You're going to have to throw to make this offense churn a little bit better than we expect, right? Again, roster strength second on defense, what you expect, 29th on offense. So a lot of new pieces to fit in, but they have more than enough leg room to work out the kinks before they play BYU, and more than enough leg room even after that before they play Miami. So I think all of the mistakes, I don't see it NIU drop this year to any of these other teams. So I think this is probably an 11-1 or 12-0 team, and I think CJ Carr might make it to New York.
Yeah, I think with Anyez Williams in the backfield, we don't really know what we're getting there. The one thing we know is that CJ Carr has an absolute rifle as an arm, great leader from all standpoints, and like he's even getting guys back as his fourth wide receiver, like Jaden Greathouse, who made a huge impact in that 2024 season when they made the CFP national championship game, right? And then he has Jordan Faison coming back for one more round, the guy who plays lacrosse and plays here on the football field as well. So I think everything lines up for CJ Carr to make a Heisman push. And like you said, if Notre Dame goes undefeated, it will be him that goes to New York instead of the running back this season. So I think that's a great way to play that market, Boggs. And I think like with that schedule that we just said, get invested early. If you want CJ Carr, 7-1 will not be out there forever. There's a chance we get to that BYU game, and before that, he's plus 450, 5-1 maybe. So
that's a great point. Yeah, it's a very good point. If you're going to get on that, get on it early.
Yeah,
because it's just going to be big stats against some of these lower tier teams.
Yeah, and that's going to do it for us on this episode of the Betting Pros College Football Show. We'll be back next time with our Group of 6 preview. In the meantime, let us know down in the comments below your favorite Notre Dame Fighting Irish picks and predictions. Also, don't forget to smash that like button and subscribe to the channel if you're new. For Scott Big Time Bogman, I'm Seth Woolcock. Take care, y'all.